Hi, and welcome back to the committee program. I am your host, Arun Chaudhry, and now, with us once again, and for our Epiphany Day Spectacular, is Hawley Brett, our royal. I was trying to think of what our crazy title for you is. It is our Continental Royal and Papal Correspondent, a title of which you must be extremely pleased with, considering if you had to report to us about what was going on with all the freaking royal stuff from Prince Andrew all the way down, English royal stuff all the way down to, who were the two who left? The Nazi one and then the one from the show, from Suits. Meghan Markle and Harry.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing is a mess.
It is a mess. It is a mess. And I'm quite pleased to be here.
They
And
left Europe,
yeah,
all right?
ow.
If they wanted to be covered by the show, they should have thought about that.
Yeah, they really should have.
But what we were talking about, what we have been talking about, and we're continuing to talk about right now are the Hapsburgs, who are, of course, an ancient, powerful family, but whose kind of style and actual physical presence on the continent continues. And you have to remind us where we were. It's been a little while. We were on hiatus. I don't think we've even spoken since October.
Yeah, I think that's right. So where we left off last time was the assassination of Albert I. And I do think that it's an appropriate place to pick off from in order to understand what's going on today. So after the assassination of Albert I, the family was in a period of time in which they actually lost power and really had some trouble gaining it back. They lost their home territory in Swabia in Switzerland due to the Swiss Confederacy moving in, and they were unable to regain the Bohemian crown on a hereditary basis until 1626. So we have to look at this period of time and ask, how did this family make a comeback in order to become the most powerful rulers of Europe for centuries to come? And in order to answer that question, we have to look at a very critical period of time in the Habsburg family, which is the Leopoldian and Albertinian split. So,
Right.
even though some members of the family really wanted to keep the Habsburg land intact, others understood that it was important to divide and conquer. They wished to split the family's lands into two separate entities. So, the brothers Albert III and Frederick III actually did just this with the Treaty of Neuburg. The Treaty of Neuburg effectively split the lands in two. So Albert got Austria proper, which was called Niederösterreich. And then Leopold got another part of Austria called Oberösterreich, which included inner...
All right. I just stop you there for 1 second because
okay.
number one, you don't just come on the show pronouncing German like super correctly while I'm like here in Berlin like not speaking. You don't do that. That's not how it goes down here. And number two, is this sort of like the split? Like, is this sort of where the Swiss kind of political world becomes different than the rest of the Germanic political world? Is that why we see there's elections in Switzerland of bananas? Like, committee has failed to work on any elections in Switzerland because it's a whole canton situation.
Yeah.
This is the canton situation.
Exactly. I do think that the instability that you see historically and the Swiss Confederacy moving in is deeply related to the kind of issues that we see today in modern
I know what's
day
going
Europe.
on. People say I don't pay attention. People say I sleep through this sometimes, which is just a misreading of their visual cues.
Yeah.
But see, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, please continue.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah. So... I'm sorry for the German, by the way. They were...
No, that's okay. It's just,
fun
you know
to
what I mean?
pronounce.
It's hard.
It is hard, yeah. So yeah, I think that to get into why we see what's going on today, we can look at how both lines actually managed to have some success while they were split apart, right? So the Albertinian line managed to marry back into the German royalty. That's because Albert V married Elizabeth of Luxembourg. Albert thereby became King of Bohemia, once again adding the territory back into Habsburg control. For her part, Elizabeth of Luxembourg was really d***ed because she had been promised the queenship and co-ability to rule, but when it really came around to it, the electors only passed approval for Albert V. Albert, very shortly after, was named King of the Romans. And more importantly, the Leopoldian line also found success separately in improving the family's fortunes. So a member of the family, Frederick III, was elected to succeed Albert II as king of the Romans. And what's more, he achieved something that no member of his family had done in such a long time, despite trying very hard and failing to do so, which was getting the approval of the Pope. The Pope officially coronated. Yes, it's true. So this is the moment when the Habsburgs were able to get in with an alliance with the Pope. And this alliance ends up lasting for many centuries, despite some conflicts here and there. Ultimately, the Habsburgs remained allied with the papacy through the Protestant Reformation. And so this was the beginning of a very, very important
You think the race car guy could actually get Pope Peace guy on the phone?
I think he might be able to. You never really know what connections these people keep in secret, and to this day. Yeah. And the Habsburgs and the papacy in this moment were allied specifically against the conciliar movement, right? So the conciliar movement was, of course, the movement within the Catholic Church in the 14th through the 16th centuries to take power away from the Pope and to place power of the Catholic Church into a council that would be separate and opposed to the Pope. Of course, the Pope did not like this, and this conflict emerged from the Western Schism, right? Which is when there were two rival popes, one in Rome, one in Antigone. So, in order to resolve this conflict and to determine who actually had power within the Catholic Church, there were these counter movements. It could really be seen as sort of like a predecessor to the Protestant Reformation. But ultimately, the conciliar movement was defeated with the establishment of the papacy in the early 1500s.
So this is a good thing for the Habsburgs then?
This is a good thing.
Because their buddies are rising in the world.
Yes, this is a very good thing. And after...
They bet on the right horse.
They did. And after Nicholas V, the Pope, crowned Frederick III as Holy Roman Emperor, the Habsburg family was able to hold on to the throne almost continuously until 1806.
Does one of us think that if a modern European republic was going to swap back to being a monarchy, that they would try to have the Pope actually do the crowning?
I think they would.
Because it's actually one of the few things you can reach for in the toolbox that's still there that like has any kind of...
It's still a symbol in our minds.
Yeah.
Very important one. Well, I'm so glad you stayed with me a bit more today. I think that you're really seeing how all of this history is incredibly important for understanding what's going on in the modern day.
Well, I mean, you could say that. You could also say we're getting to the good stuff. I think as we're seeing things congeal and come together, we're entering maybe a second act where the inciting incident is done, the exposition is done, and there's starting to be a little more action, and so the stakes are raising a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that that's exciting. That's an exciting place to be, and I hope that you'll be able to join us soon.
Yeah.
And to pursue this. What I'm hoping maybe 2-3 steps we can maybe even get to the 20th century.
I think that we will be able to. Of course, we're right on the brink of the Protestant Reformation, and we are going to, next time, get introduced to Charles V. So I don't think that we should move too fast over those subjects due to their incredible importance, but at the same time, I think we can make great progress through them and get to the present day very shortly.
Just because the movie has come out, everyone's talking about Dune a lot again, and I'm reminded of how the book slows down during this one dinner party scene near the beginning, and how the first 6 times I tried to read the book, I couldn't get through this dinner party scene. They pour water on the floor, I don't remember what happens. I feel like the Protestant Reformation may be the dinner party scene of the Habsburgs. We're going to have to get through that together.
We will.
Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Comite, comitato, comitiet, comiteto. Karul, Komitsi, we young way, submiti, we committee.